Well, after a long season of college football, it's an amazing play being seen in front of our very eyes. Here we are, the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs begin today, when the Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Miami Hurricanes at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic in Dallas. There's one college football game today, the final college football game of 2025. We have three more games tomorrow, all playoff games. Starting at noon tomorrow with Oregon versus Texas Tech. At 4 o'clock, we get Indiana versus Alabama at the Rose Bowl. And of course, at 8 o'clock tomorrow, we get Ole Miss versus Georgia as the night game to wrap up the quarterfinal round of the college football playoffs. Welcome to the Caleb Perez Show, and in this show, we have one goal, and that's to break down every college football game, every college football playoff game, break down what I think is going to happen, and who is going to win, and who will be facing off against each other in the semifinals of the college football playoffs. Starting, of course, with the game we are getting at 7:30 p.m. tonight, the final college football game in 2025. First and foremost, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope this year was an amazing year for you. You learned a lot about yourself. You did a lot of great things. But of course, 2026 is merely less than 24 hours away. So, I hope you find your New Year's resolutions, that you live up to all of them, that you have an amazing year in 2026. I look forward to making more YouTube videos, and I look forward to building my platform here on YouTube. So with that being said, 7:30 p.m. on ESPN is Ohio State and Miami. Ohio State coming off of their 13-10 loss in the Big Ten championship game to Indiana, which now sees Indiana as the number one team in the country, a role that Ohio State had held all season long outside of Week 1 until that game. Miami coming off their 10-3 win in Texas A&M in the opening round of the playoffs. Many people wondering how well Miami's going to play. Obviously, the A&M game had a really big asterisk of it was a wind tunnel. It threw off every team's game. So obviously, it's a clean slate. We're in a dome, new site, new venue. Last time Miami played a football game in Dallas was when they fell to SMU earlier on this season. Last time Ohio State was in this stadium was last year in the semifinals when they beat the Texas Longhorns to punch their ticket to the national championship game. The national championship would say inevitably won. It's a new year. It's a new game. For the most part, new teams. Carson Beck is back in the playoffs. Carson Beck is in the playoffs finally. The more experienced quarterback in this matchup, obviously, Julian Sand in his first season as a starter as a redshirt freshman. Carson Beck, a soon to be graduating senior. Both teams play strong on the defensive side of the football. Obviously, Ohio State right now is the number one ranked defense in America. Miami's defense, while not number one, is still very solid. It takes a lot to hold that Texas A&M offense to no touchdowns, and that's exactly what Miami did in their last game. However, when coming to predicting a winner for this match, you have to look at the skill positions. Miami has some great skill positions, don't get me wrong. But do they have the skill positions on offense to keep up with what Ohio State's going to be doing on offense with their two elite wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate? Two receivers who will be first round picks in their draft. Carnell Tate, who's most likely going first round this season. Ohio State's true freshman running back, Bo Jackson, who has had a phenomenal true freshman season. And obviously, Ohio State has some very great depth at every skill position at receiver. Behind Smith and Tate, they have Brandon Inniss. They have Rogers. Obviously, in running back behind Bo Jackson, they have C.J. Donaldson and Isaiah West. And obviously, at tight end, the Buckeyes have, in my opinion, the best tight end in college football in Max Clare. So, with that being said, Miami is going to play a close game. It's going to be close at the end of the first half, but at the end of the day, I believe the Buckeyes have too much talent in those skill positions. They're going to thrive on offense. Miami's going to have to be forced to keep up. And I just simply don't think they can, regardless of whether or not Carson Beck plays the best version of his game or not. I'm going with the Buckeyes. Take down Miami. They advance to the semifinals, where the Buckeyes will be looking to repeat as national champions. Moving on to tomorrow's slate, the first game at noon Eastern Standard Time on ESPN is Oregon versus Texas Tech. Obviously, outside of Ohio State and Indiana, Oregon would have been the best team in the Big Ten this year. But thanks to them losing that game at home to Indiana earlier on the season, they did not make the Big Ten championship game. And so now they find themselves as the 5 seed, but don't let that deceive you. This Oregon team is very talented. They play very physical. Dante Moore is one of the more underrated quarterbacks, in my opinion, in college football. He leads a really fast-paced offense that really flies high. And obviously, they're going to have a tough matchup tomorrow against this Texas Tech defense. Jacob Rodriguez was a top five in Heisman voting. He's phenomenal on the defensive side of the football. Texas Tech in general plays very great on the defensive side of the football, but don't let that deceive you. This offense is very good as well. They decimated BYU both times they played him, and it's hard for the same team to beat the same opponent twice in a season. Not only did Texas Tech do that, they obliterated them. By far the best non Big Ten and SEC team in college football this season, and it's not even close. Texas Tech is a very good team. However, they haven't gone up against an opponent like Oregon. Oregon is a Big Ten powerhouse right now. Obviously, they would have been the Big Ten championship game had it not been that lost to Indiana. And Oregon is very talented in the skill positions where they need to be. This is going to be a much closer game than what the experts will probably predict this one to be. But at the end of the day, Dante Moore will be the difference maker. He has more potential to make those big plays. I got Oregon beating Texas Tech in a very, very, very close game. I see this one going to overtime. Up next is Indiana versus Alabama. Obviously, there's not enough to say about Indiana and the job that Coach Signetti has done transforming this Indiana squad into a powerhouse in the Big Ten. He has done an absolutely incredible job, and it's been a privilege to watch. Watching Fernando Mendoza win the Heisman Trophy, and watching Omar Cooper become an elite wide receiver. Roman Hemby is a great running back who rushed for over 1,000 yards this season. Alabama, we know what they got. We know about the talent Ty Simpson can have. He's great with his arms, great with his feet. Jeremy Bernard has been a great receiver for him as well. Ryan Williams, he's gone really under the radar the last few games, but we cannot ignore the talent that Ryan Williams has. They're gonna need Ryan Williams to play a good game today because this Indiana defense is very stout. Picking a winner in this game, in my opinion, is actually pretty hard. You know what you're getting with Indiana. There's a reason they're the number one team in the country. There's a reason they're undefeated. There's a reason they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game because they are a very good team. However, the winner in this game, in my opinion, depends, kind of like my prediction for Alabama and Oklahoma in the first round. What version of Alabama are we going to get? Now, in my last playoff prediction video, when I predicted the first round of the playoffs, I talked about Alabama's offense and what version of that offense we're going to get. If we're getting mid-season form that won 5 straight games against a ranked team, I could see Alabama winning this game. But if we get the form we saw against them in the first quarter against Oklahoma, in the Georgia game, the SEC title game, and their loss to Florida State in the season opener, it's hard to imagine a world where Indiana does not win that game by a landslide. I think this game's going to be very close. This is going to be a very great game, in my opinion. However, due to my uncertainty about what Alabama version we're going to get, I'm going to go Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza and the Indiana Hoosiers to do their jobs in the Rose Bowl. Indiana beats Alabama. Could be a lot closer. I could see a world where Alabama wins depending on how well their offense plays, more specifically Ryan Williams. If Ryan Williams is able to get his game going, which he really hasn't basically all year. But assuming that doesn't happen, I think Indiana takes care of business in the Rose Bowl. They advance to semifinals. And that leaves us with just one more game. Ole Miss in Georgia. This Georgia defense looks the best it has since they last won their national championship in 2022. Ever since their loss at home to Alabama, this Georgia offense has looked basically unstoppable. Gunnar Stockton has been the best version of himself. Zachariah Branch has been a phenomenal addition from the transfer portal over the offseason. Nate Frazier is a very solid running back who easily gets the job done every time. There's also no denying that this Ole Miss offense is really good as well. Trinidad Chambliss has been a pleasure to watch this season. He was one of the more under the radar quarterbacks in college football, kind of like Dante Moore. Kawan Lacey, a 1,500-yard rusher on the season, has also been phenomenal for that Ole Miss offense. This is a team that can pass the ball just as well as they can run it. Trinidad Chambliss is very underrated with his wheels. He has a great ground game as well as his ability to throw the football. But so does Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton also has a great run game. He's also going to be a big dual threat option. You can expect to see both quarterbacks in motion a bunch. However, this game, in my opinion, will come down to defense, just like how it was earlier in the season when these two teams met in Athens, Georgia. Who's going to be play better on defense? Whose defense is going to show up more often and more consistently? In my opinion, that's going to be Georgia. This Georgia defense is stacked per usual. You get what you get with the Georgia defense. You know what you're going to get with them. And in my opinion, that Georgia defense alone is the difference maker. I'm going to go Georgia to beat Ole Miss. Simply put, I feel like Georgia has been, outside of Ohio State and Indiana, Georgia's been the best team in college football this season. And while Ole Miss, kudos to them for making it this far throughout all the drama, through their head coach abandoning the playoff run and leaving right before it began, but their season comes to an end. Once again, Georgia makes more plays on defense. They pull away at the end. Another close game. This is going to be, in my opinion, a phenomenal quarterfinals to the college football playoffs. Unlike last year, we got a lot of blowouts. This year, these quarterfinal games are all, in my opinion, going to be very close, and it's going to be fun to watch. But of course, those are just my predictions. So one more time, just to go over them one more time. Ohio State defensively with more skill positions on offense will easily take care of Miami. Oregon's offense outlasts Texas Tech, and Oregon gets the win against Texas Tech. Due to uncertainty about how Alabama's offense is going to play and whether or not they show up, Indiana will beat Alabama. And Georgia's defense is able to make more plays and stop Ole Miss's running game a bit more often. They get the win against Ole Miss. So, that will leave us to our semifinal, which, based on my predictions, would be Oregon and Indiana, and Ohio State and Georgia. Ohio State, Georgia would be awesome. That game would be very exciting. However, I'm not going to go into those games or what they could be just yet. Obviously, we don't know whether or not we're actually going to get them. As far as I'm concerned, Miami could smoke Ohio State tonight. I don't know. But we will see. College football's been great this season. We have a few more games left. Ohio State and Miami will be the final college football game of 2025. As 2026 is officially less than 12 hours away as of the time I'm recording this. So, enjoy some college football, people. Happy New Year's to you all. I hope all you and your families have an amazing 2026 and that you do great and amazing and great things in the new year. I look forward to being a part of it. So thank you guys for watching. Let's enjoy the college football playoff.